Let's see if this works. Hey, everybody, this is Mike Rasmussen coming to you from a Denny's in Utah. And I'm hanging with my two friends, Robert Merrill, who's my co-host, and our guest today is Ryan Welty, who's a gig tuber. He's been awesome and a good friend who's helped me get up on YouTube and get running. So today we're going to just have some fun talking about careers and really wanted to talk about branding. You know, what's self-branding all about, and how do you make yourself the best you can be in your career and in your life? So that's really what this is all about. And the reason I invited Ryan Welty, let me kind of give him an introduction because this is fun. So Ryan used to be an HVAC service tech guy, and he's also done a number of other things in his life at 26 now.
Correct.
Yeah, and he started his own YouTube channel for gig work, and it's fun to watch. It's been fun to see, and it's been fun to see his channel grow to 1,300 subscribers. So, Ryan, tell us more about what you've done and your journey to this point. It's been kind of fun because this was well, I'm a gig worker too. I was just out doing it this morning. Was on Roadie and Uber Eats and DoorDash today, just multi-apping, and I made $60 this morning. So it's amazing the freedom we have, you know, what you can do with your life. And I was just laid off from my recruiting role. And, you know, really, I put a posting on my YouTube channel. I said, shout your freedom. And it's really what, you know, life is all about, making the most of everything you do. And the reason I have Welty on today with Robert and I is that I thought Welty would give a unique perspective on what it means to do self-branding and how far you've come. It's just fun to watch you. And I remember when you first started your YouTube channel, like some 100 videos ago, and you've built quite a following. Tell us more.
Yeah, I appreciate the introduction. Appreciate the flowers. You've done a great job yourself. And yeah, so I was in HVAC installation and bought this house that you see me standing in with my wife. And so we'd been married for about 6 months, big down payment on a house. We got our first mortgage together. We've got a dog. And then 2 weeks later, I say, hey, Allison, I quit my job today. And I think I can make this work. I kind of started doing gig work, and the goal was to kind of match the same exact hourly income that I was making in my previous industry. I quickly found that I was able to do that. The question then became, what's the career arc, though? That's why I like this discussion today. What's the ceiling on how legitimate is this to pursue as a several year or potentially few decade idea? And so that's when I decided I need to be able to monetize what I'm doing in more ways than one. It's got to be more than just about the tips that I'm earning on an hourly basis. I quickly identified that what you see that pays the best in our culture today seems to be entertainers of some sort, or people that get watched as they're doing what they do anyway. If you've got attention is easily monetized. So I decided I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to live stream myself at some point, which I was finally able to do. I upgraded my car so that I could do live streams in the gig economy. And so I do that on an almost daily basis every weekday. And yeah, it's been nice to see the support. I got my channel monetized. It took over a year, but in 2023, I got my channel monetized. And so now we're getting the ball rolling on kind of having multiple income streams at a time.
And I love that. Let me talk about that for a minute. So I was working as a recruiter. I left ADP in 2021, went to the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, became a recruiter there. I got international recruiting experience from that experience. Went on to the next thing, which was at the Source and Recruit company. Business slowed down a little bit, got laid off. But I had, during that time, I was doing gig work and had multiple streams of income coming in. And so I also had dividend stocks, which were paying me a certain amount by investing in those. And so getting the dividends. So I'm going to do a series on that and how you can, get an extra stream of income by investing. So it's like, get multiple streams of income. I'm working on my YouTube channel, which hope will be monetized eventually. So the story of how Where's Your Next came to be is kind of a cool one. It was about 5 years ago. I was sitting in a restaurant with my friend. His name was Dominic Wong, and Dominic is an amazing human being. He has his own company, imanstudios.net. He's got some big ticket clients that he works with in doing amazing things like just it's so incredible. Like, he's doing photography and videography and just all this different stuff. And he goes, Mike, you are a recruiter. You have the ability to do something inspiring with a YouTube channel. And we were sitting there, and it's like two entrepreneurs sitting in a cafe in 2018, just writing this down. And I was in the back of my mind to do this. We're just writing on a napkin. Seriously, this is exactly how it was. And he goes, what should we call it? And I go, let's call it Where's Your Next? And he goes, that is absolutely perfect, Mike. And so the vision of how that came to be, and now working with Robert to do this on a weekly basis on these episodes and shows, it's self-branding on another scale. And so I think it's so cool once you get, multiple streams of income, you're owning your life in a new way. You're showing the world. I mean, when I put out that video, Shout Your Freedom, on my channel, that's a song by Skillet. And they talk about shouting your freedom and doing the thing that you need to do to be free of slavery in your life. You can be a W-2 employee and make a great living, but you do not need to be a slave to one stream of income. You can make multiple streams of income. If one goes down, you're prepared. I'm prepared. I'm making $1,000 a week right now doing gig work, and I can survive on that. So it's inspiring stuff, man. When we talk about this, and Welty, you're kind of a great example of believing in yourself and not being afraid to do what needs to be done. And that's why I brought you on today, because you've inspired me. Now I'm up to 100 subscribers. I don't know where this channel is going to go. Now with Robert with us, it's going to be so fun to see, what he
probably
brings
go
to the
down.
table. No, absolutely not. Robert, what do you think about all this? What's your
You only
thoughts?
have 86 subscribers now. I just checked. Sorry. No,
Did they all leave?
No. Hi, Mom. No, that's all. This is awesome. It's fun to just talk about this stuff. I mean, I like the whole idea of Where's Your Next? Like, what is the next thing going to be? And I think that we're in the middle of a huge transition of what it means to be employed, whether or not it's working for yourself, working for someone else, your future. I don't know. I think that over the last couple of years, if anything has stuck out to me, it's that everybody kind of has this in the back of their mind somewhere of, what's different now. And we won't even know for probably 10 or 20 years. We'll look back and go, oh, that's what was happening. But we're all living through the middle of it right now.
Yeah, look at artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of people in our industry, in the recruiting industry, and Welty, you can chime in on this. They talk about, are robots going to take our jobs? Like, even in the gig economy, right? They're starting to experiment with robots delivering stuff. So I think what's interesting is you don't need to be afraid of, you just adapt and you grow and you keep investing in yourself, and things happen. Good things happen when you're doing that. And so, yeah, what do you think about artificial intelligence, Welty? What's your thought?
Yeah, it's, in my opinion, people should be really focusing on having their personality or their name or their persona being somewhat monetizable. That's why I love the name of your channel. It fits the vision beautifully, like you just explained. But I named my channel my last name because I started to identify, man, pretty much any one of these things that I'm doing can be outsourced or done by a robot eventually, except they can't be me, right? They can't be us. And so,
well, it's kind of cool because so you came out with your own. See, this is another reason I love this branding conversation, because you came out with your own logo, and you put that together with your own creativity. I think you drew that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did it on a little like a free software site, everything I've done on my YouTube channel has been done on probably about a combined budget of maybe $200. So yeah, just a
Awesome.
little free online digital just website, and then I just simply I didn't even pay to download the image. I just took a screenshot of it on the computer.
Pretty cool, man. Yeah, and it's so fun to see, you know, what we're doing. I mean, Robert, what do you think about personal branding as a recruiter?
Oh, it's like all there is, because I think that at the end of the day, like I got accidentally lucky in recruiting. This was a long time ago when blogs were a thing like that. I wrote a blog about what it's like to look for a tech job in Utah, and I got a lot of clients that way. I got my first placements that way, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. So I think personal branding is just super valuable. Besides anything else, like what do people think of when they think about you? You know, in recruiting, there's thousands and thousands of recruiters. Like I actually just was told about a stat earlier that the number of recruiters like out of work now is like more than the number of recruiters there were, you know, years ago. So it's a wild and very interesting time to be in recruiting. And I think that, you know, the people I know that are working, that are happy in where they're employed, probably had a network, which is really personal branding, you know. So
Absolutely. And you know, I have a few opportunities right now that are knocking on the door. I got some referrals from friends who, you know, I went to them just in my network, you know, immediately after the layoff happened. I said, hey, here's what's going on. And it's like you get your own personal army of people who care about you. And like over the years, I've built up tremendous connections with amazing people. And my hiring managers are putting in the good word for me, people who worked with me side by side. And, you know, then I've got the gig economy folks who've become good friends as well. It's kind of, I almost want to say I'm at the intersection of life and career. And so it's like, it's really what it is. I mean, and it's the experience and the journey has been interesting. Little did I know, making all these friendships, going to the SourceCon conference and presenting there, seeing all these different things happen. I'm going to land on both feet just fine. And right now I'm able to do what I need to do because I have multiple streams of income. Now, had you told me this in 2005, when the reason I'm wearing the SJSU stuff today is because when I graduated college, nobody told me that your career would be a roller coaster ride or go upside down or things would happen. And careers, I remember reading a great book by Orville Pearson, who's an amazing guy who did I don't know if you know who LHH is. Lee Hecht Harrison is an outplacement firm. And one of the things he talked about, which was pretty remarkable, was, you know, careers are 40 plus years long, and you can go through, you know, changes in your careers over time. And so, you know, like I said, back in those days when I was in San Jose State and I was a senior in college and I made HR my life's work, I know I'm going to land in either HR or recruiting, and it's going to be fine. And I'll still have the gig economy to fall back on. So that's why this is inspiring stuff. So I think it's fun. I mean, I love what's happening, and sometimes you just have to own your career and be smarter than the circumstances, right? Well, what do you think about all that, Welty?
I agree 100%. It's, you know, playing a few steps ahead of the game is always an important thing. I'm already thinking about 2024 hardcore. What's the next? Where's my next? You know, what's the next thing? I've got some. You know, I love what you said. It reminded me. I wear a shirt a lot. I wish I could take credit for the quote, but I can't. Legacy is the greatest currency, and that's what I thought of when you were talking about the network that you've generated.
Yeah, good friends over time. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just big into planning ahead, having an end goal of some sort, and loving the process on the way, falling in love with the journey there, uh, deeper than just obsessing over the result.
Yeah, and we have to let ourselves, you know, we have to let ourselves find that where's your next for each of us. Like, you know, this has been a vision of mine for, 5 years. And this year I knew something special was happening in 2023. I just couldn't put my finger on it. Then all of a sudden I started my YouTube channel, and that was the special thing. Like it started to change my life, and it's changed my perspective. I find myself, not worried anymore. I have control over my life. I'm free. As it's probably the liberation of being free from worry. I've had anxiety my whole life. I grew up with an anxiety disorder. And so one of the challenges I've always faced is, how do I battle back from that? But you know what? I'm more powerful than my anxiety. And that's what inspires me. And so I wrote an article probably that had been like 5-6 years in the making, ever since COVID, about this very thing of anxiety and worrying about your future. But you know what? It's so exciting what's ahead of us. I think if you just look at the opportunity for who you can become when you put your heart and mind to it, amazing things start happening. It's like the universe sets you up for success. And so that's why it's a truly inspiring thing. And that article I wrote for Recruiting Daily was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I got a lot of folks reaching out saying, hey, thanks for that. Because everybody's been anxious to some degree or another these past few years. And we need to overcome it. You can't worry. You just got to go out and make it happen. And that's why, like I said, I admire you, Welty, for that very thing. It's that you've had the opportunity to go and build a YouTube channel from scratch, and you've learned things along the way, and your journey has been pretty remarkable and fun to watch. So, yeah, it's cool.
Well, Mike, let me ask you this, man. Like, you posted that, but I mean, you were working when you published that about your anxiety. Were you, meta question, were you anxious about posting that? Like,
I was.
Were you worried about your employer seeing that, or do you think that you would encourage people to say that, or
I think
no?
I think you have to be courageous of what it is that you give to this world. And neurodiversity is a real thing. I mean, we can't just sweep it under the rug anymore. Mental health is one of those things that you have to own and control. I mean, some of the best recruiters I know are neurodiverse, and they're actually, and the reason that makes them such good recruiters is because they have empathy. So it's actually a superpower in a way, because you're able to relate and be kind and understanding. And then when you get to that offer stage where you're talking with a candidate about their career, it just the dialogue opens up because they can trust you when you just listen. So that's another thing, is listening well, right? So important now, more than ever.
Yeah, that's so huge. And what's amazing is, I think, speaking of that, one of the things that I've learned definitely over the last couple of years is, when you ask that additional question of, like, can you clarify before you jump in and answer something, you realize they were using words that you understood in a completely different way, and they didn't mean it like that. And if you had just bowled ahead and started talking, they would have felt like, wait a minute, were you even listening to me? And you were trying to listen, but sometimes having that curiosity to ask, can you tell me more about that? That's a great thing to do, both in interview, and it's a great interview tool. If you're out there looking for work, you can ask that question. What can you tell me more about that before you answer a question in an interview? And oftentimes you'll find that most people will kind of reveal the thing that they're looking for in their question, or at least give you hints toward which direction you go. It's always a challenge when you're interviewing someone. You ask them a question because you're thinking of something over here, and what they heard is, and they respond to an answer that's way over there. And you don't want to be like that, because it makes you show up like you're not listening. But asking that additional question, something like, hey, can you tell me more about that? Or, I've got some thoughts, but can you explain more what you mean, before jumping in?
True.
Is a good insight.
Yeah, I want to ask Welty, just, this, since you're our guest, I think what I would love to hear from you is your perspective for folks that are closer to your age that are struggling right now with what to do next, or where's their next. What do you think what would be your advice? I mean, you did something totally as a risk, which has paid off tremendously for you. What advice do you have for folks that are millennials and Gen Z coming up. Remember that kid we had on that one show when you did your show, and he was 18? You gave some great advice on that night. I remember that.
Oh yeah, I would say for people in my age bracket, it's really I take a why not approach. There's not a real opportunity to lose at my age, in my opinion. If you start life at day one at the age of 30, you still have an opportunity that a lot of mid 60s multi-billionaires can't purchase. They can't get those 30 years back. And so I look at myself at 26 years old. I started this sort of gig economy, self-employed personal brand journey 3 years ago at 23. And I just looked at it and I'm like, dude, I could do this for 7 years and get nothing out of it. Nothing. not even a something like this, not even an appearance like this with a new friend in Utah. I could get nothing out of it, and I'm still going to be at a very fine place at 30 years old. So once I brought a wife into my life, a spouse into my life, the equation changed a little bit in terms of, well, the mortgage has got to get paid. I can't, forego that responsibility. But beyond that, it's, swing for the fences, take the chance, do something that you're going to enjoy doing. And man, I'm just really glad to be where I'm at today for sure.
Yeah, I think
That's awesome.
From what you're saying, I really love that because, when I was talking about anxiety, for example, for those who've experienced it, look back on COVID. So let's go back in time for a moment. Remember 2019, you felt like you're on top of the world to some degree. You had a lot of things going, right? You came to COVID and it was like the world was coming to an end and that everything was happening. And then from there, if you were a recruiter, you went to the other pendulum and the entire landscape was insane and crazy. And you were feeling overwhelmed about what you were facing at the time. Everybody was, right? And there was nothing it was unprecedented that historical events had taken you to a certain place. Here's another dimension of what I was experiencing during that time. I was called to be what's known as an elders quorum president in my local congregation. Robert knows what this is, but it's basically the leader of a group of men in your church. And what that requires is a lot, because a lot of delegation from the main head of the congregation, his name is a bishop, came to the elders quorum president. So I was experiencing that. Nobody told me at the start of the year that I was going to be going through a big global pandemic crisis, and there was nothing that you could put forward. So I started watching John C. Maxwell, and I really, really loved his leadership stuff, which helped me get through that time, helped me grow as a leader, and helped me grow in my life and in my career, and it got me through. So when you're talking about anxiety and what you're facing and all the challenges and everything, everybody's been anxious since COVID. We've gone through inflation as well. Like, you look at inflation, the cost of things are higher, right? It's just all these challenges all at the same time. And so you got to kind of keep perspective through it all and remain, dedicated to your life. And that's really what it's all about. In fact, I learned to manage my anxiety, and I became a stronger person through all these experiences. It was like God stepped in and opened a window and said, hey, this is what I need you to experience to become the best version of yourself. And then, I'm religious, and I know Robert is, and I know Ryan is. So, we all kind of experience that, right? It's like, if you're doing the best you can and you're trying to live an honest and good life, the universe has a way of opening doors for you in a way that's remarkable. So you just have to stay dedicated. Got to keep perspective. It's very important right now, especially.
Yeah, that's awesome that you shared that. And Ryan, thanks for sharing, your thoughts too. I think that one of the things that's easy to look around, when when we're, it's easy to get down and kind of go, oh man, life is super hard. And not to say that it's not, definitely not to take away from any of that, but a long time ago and early in my career, before I really got into kind of a job and everything else, I remember a guy that was talking about, man, you live in America. Like, just don't forget that you live in America. Like, this is the place that everyone has been trying and scrimping and saving and just struggling to get to. And even the lowest rung here in America, if that's the best you can do, is really pretty good compared to, a lot of different places in the world. And there's a lot of conflict in the world right now. There's a lot of people that, I might, not have everything I need that, or I would love to be able to spend money on. It's holidays, right now in the US, and, it might be like, oh man, it sure would be nice to just spend money on whatever, but there's people that don't have food, they don't have shelter, they don't have friends, they don't have, high-speed internet connection, they can't get online. It's pretty amazing stuff that we have here in America. So, and one of the things I think is awesome about both of you is you're not waiting around for something else to come along and put food on your table. You're out there doing it, and that's pretty awesome. And I know a lot of people are doing that too. So I don't know. Yeah. It's a good time to be grateful.
Yeah, when I went into sales this past year, it's something I'd never done, and I had to learn, how to focus on that. And Robert froze up here. We lose him? Interesting. I can still hear you, Welty. Your internet connection's good. He might have to. Hopefully, he'll come back and let's see. It's weird that he's froze up. Anyway, so what do you think about the circumstances of what's happening in the next year? I mean, what do you think is going to be our experience with where things go, right, from here?
In terms of
just life and economy and everything else.
Oh man, well, I mean, it would be hard to answer that question without acknowledging that it's an election year.
It's true.
Man, yeah, I mean, lots of different ways this can go. I saw something ridiculous. My mom has an Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have one. So this evening, I'm going to be spending some time with her. And I'm going to ask the Alexa a certain question because I heard that if you ask Alexa right now what happens in the 2024 election, it will tell you that it doesn't take place. I don't know how true that is because I saw it on oh,
that's interesting. Huh.
I saw it on like a YouTube short. Okay, so I was just scrolling through and I was like, whoa. So I'm going to be asking Alexa tonight to predict what happens and see because, man, isn't it hard to answer that question? What's going to happen in 2024?
Yeah, true that, man. And I think one of the other things that it's just, again, going to the source of what we're talking about. I think we need to kind of think about, this multiple streams of income thing that we were talking about earlier, right? I think there's something so key and important about that. Like, we got to be 2 steps ahead of the game and ahead of the curve. I mean, in order to survive. I mean, it's just when you're thinking about all this, as I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's so key and important. We just need to do that. And so,
well, yeah, what's a more valuable human trait superpower? The ability to have a really good ability to predict or having the self-awareness to know that you might not be able to predict.
Right, exactly.
Self-awareness is undervalued.
I think especially now, right? It's like it's even more important now than ever before. So talk more about that. What do you think about self-awareness? Why is that key?
Man, it's just like I don't think that I would have been able. I don't think that I'd started my journey without the self-awareness of knowing that I needed to move on from what I was doing in the first place. To me, self-awareness is key. Just it's kind of one of my favorite books. I don't know if you seem like a reader.
I am a reader.
Okay,
I do.
one of my favorite
There
books.
you are, man. You're back.
Welcome back, Robert. One of my favorite books is the most recently published book by Gary Vee. It talks about character traits, and you've already mentioned one of them, and I mentioned another. So gratitude and self-awareness and empathy and optimism's one, I believe. And so, self-awareness is on a kind of a Mount Rushmore of human traits for me.
You can also call it emotional intelligence.
Mm.
I think emotional intelligence is a very powerful thing, and the more you develop it, the better you get. Like, Robert, what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Emotional. I don't know. It's pretty awesome that I don't even know how old you are, but it's pretty awesome at your age that you're considering that, because I think it's a thing that people don't really consider until kind of life slaps you around a little bit and you realize like, oh, like I guess I can't just do whatever I want. So
Yeah,
the fact that you're even considering that early on, you're going to be that much more ahead. So
yeah, I wish I'd known this at your age, Ryan. Seriously, I mean, when I was just getting started, there was things I was still learning, and so it's fun to see, even at your stage. I mean, I've admired that from the beginning as we've become friends. Is just the stuff that you're doing already that is remarkable from a self branding standpoint. It's pretty cool.
yeah, no, that's I think one of the other things that's underrepresented, I think, in our society sometimes is it's easy to take kind of what you're told or what kind of comes over the wire, and like the messages you're being told, but seeking learning yourself, like going and digging in and like doing that extra bit of research and going like, why is that like, you hear something on the news or whatever, and you're like, why does that matter? And doing some research and to talk to people that are maybe living in that area of the world, or doing a little research into the background of history. It's amazing what happens. But yeah, emotional intelligence is a key critical item. And I think the more, if you think about, we were talking about AI before, right? If you think about what's the difference between you and me and a robot, it's that you and I care about stuff. We care about people. We care about
Empathy.
the world. We care about things. And don't you think that in 50 years, I mean, AI is going to be around. It's not like it's going away. 50
Right.
years from now, things that you and I do that humans create, like that, valuable creation from like a value of like a person. It's like the Christmas gift you get, that's like a handmade little thing. Like that's so valuable to you as you get older. How much more valuable will things like that become? I mean, over the last couple of years, think of even how vinyl has become such a thing. People love getting records from their favorite artists because it's like, yeah, you feel like you're in the studio with them, and that's just going to multiply over time, and our world's going to become more automated, and having a human experience is going to become more and more critical, I think.
Human experience, live events.
Yeah.
These,
that's exactly right.
It's going to get to the, I say that they can't be us and they can't be me. But the truth is that it's going to get good enough in the next 20 years that they can make a YouTube live stream that looks exactly like it's me. And that's what kind of makes me nervous, except for the fact that at that point, so let's say people want to watch their favorite musician live. I think the cost of like live concert attendance, live sport event attendance is actually going to go up even more once we start looking at our phones, because right now it's kind of funny and cute and we can tell which ones are fake and which ones aren't. But when it gets to a point where we can't, the live stuff is going to be extreme. Actual human physical connection is going to be extremely important.
Yeah, can I share something that struck me as a lesson that was truly remarkable? Like just a few weeks ago, I attended a live concert with Switchfoot. Okay, and I don't know if you know who they are, but they're definitely an amazing band. I mean, they've been around for quite a while, but it was so neat. I had this VIP experience. I was backstage with them. They're a Christian band, and one of the things that that was really awesome is he was talking about, this concept of Dare You to Move, which is one of their songs. And the reason it was written is he was going through something in his life where he had to decide what was he going to do with himself. What was his next? And so he was talking about this song, Dare You to Move, and the words that came from it, and how you have to move in your life and go with the flow, and you actually have to move with the synergy of life itself and be flexible, because you could sit there and be like, oh, everything's changed, it's annoying, stuff's not like it used to be. But then you have to kind of change your perspective. And at that time in their lives, that band, John Foreman, the lead singer, was deciding if he should go drop out of college or go make music. And it was a turning point. It was a choice point in his life, which made them famous. And they got on a movie called A Walk to Remember, which is a Nicholas Sparks movie. And it was just a remarkable movie because it touched a lot of people, and their music enhanced people's lives. And then from there, they just exploded, and now they have this following all over the place. And so it was neat listening to him talk about that whole concept of Dare You to Move. Just it really kind of hit me. If he hadn't made that decision to go and do music, he wouldn't have touched countless lives. And his music has had an effect on millions and millions of lives around the earth. So it's just cool. I mean, that's something to think about. When you want to get something, you want to do something, you might have to make a choice that's extremely uncomfortable. And that may mean, it could be doing what I did, which is leaving my cushy ADP corporate recruiter role and go off into a faith-based organization and doing recruiting for them, or going and doing sales, staffing sales, which I'd never done, right? But at the end of those two choices, I've grown. And so it's so cool. That's what Where's Your Next is all about, you guys. That's the Dare You to Move concept. Yeah, so just that was a neat
awesome
story to share. Yeah,
I love it. I'm curious, like, before we get too much time, like, if there's someone listening to this and they're like thought about, I don't know, it's the holidays, maybe getting some extra money, doing some DoorDash or something. Like, I'm actually curious, from the outside, talking to both of you, what would you recommend if someone was like, hey, I'm not doing anything Friday night. What would you recommend someone do? Is there any tips or anything else? Ryan, I don't know if you want to share anything.
What would someone do? Take this one, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah. I mean, I think the gig apps, the rideshare food delivery apps, offer an instant ability at basically 10xing your money with a little bit of a time trade-off. So you're trading your time in a certain, you're literally trading your time for profit, and then the cost. When I say 10x, I mean generally my income will line up with about a 10% cost on gas. So I've taken my investment of filling my car up and I've 10x the money. I think another thing that's underrated is I do some like Goodwilling and yard sailing throughout the year, and I'm sell on Facebook Marketplace and offer up. There's a few free local apps that you can use that you get kind of free free advertising. So yeah, exactly. So I've done some of that in the last several years as well, just to try and and one more thing about why I think it's good that we're getting on YouTube, the three of us, is like any one of these things can be turned into, if you're a good storyteller, the content can generate more for you than the original action itself. So if you post enough content and it's good enough and it's entertaining and informative enough, you're going to become known for a series of things. And so I encourage you, Mike, in this, you are driving home what the channel name, how the channel name defines what you're doing, you should also look for sub content category niches that people are going to associate you with.
Yep.
And that
Great
might,
point.
it might be things.
Finance,
Exactly.
investing,
The
stuff like
dividend
that.
stocks.
Yep.
I think there's something there. And
Yep.
so like a lot of people, I've got a following of probably a few dozen of the 1,300 subscribers right now. They don't know anything about the gig economy, but they're basketball fans, and so they have found me through this.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I became Robert. You don't know, but I became a Charlotte Hornets season ticket holder.
This is fun.
With the objective.
Listen to this.
I don't go to the games unless I'm have the opportunity to go. But the purpose of becoming a season ticket holder was just to sell the games on the internet at a profit on an individual game basis. And I'm into 2 years now, and it's been successful both years. So I've you want to find these
creativity, man. So cool.
You want to be known for a few different things, and what that ultimately does, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but ultimately you become the niche. If you just say I'm only uploading DoorDash videos, then DoorDash is your niche. But if you say I'm gonna upload DoorDash videos and a couple casino video, I'm gonna go to casino a couple times, and I'm gonna go to the Hornets games, then you become the niche of your channel. And there's extreme value in that. People become more interested in who it is you are, and not so much what it is the video about. That at a certain point, I don't want to go way overboard, but I could almost post anything at this point, and a few hundred of the 1,300 are going to watch it. It could be me building a gingerbread house on December 20th.
Yeah. See, I love what you just said, because like in our area, so if you're in Utah, we're going to have some Utah-based folks that are going to be, on our channel, right? As we get the content going, Robert, we'll have some HR thought leaders and some folks like that. But what I love too is that you can actually be creative in how you make your finances. So that's the other piece of what he was just talking about. I mean, I've been pondering this for some time. I was like, I should go buy a piece of furniture. Just buy it from, $50 or whatever the person's selling it for, or a barbecue or something. So I buy the barbecue, and then I mark it up by like $20, $30, and then I've made a $30 profit. So I could, you resell it, you go and you buy it. It's almost like the affiliate marketing thing that people do sometimes with Amazon Web Services. It's the same idea. You're going out, you're buying a product, and then you take the product, you relist it, and then you get it over to the person that needs it. So like in our area, for example, you could be creative with your finances by buying a piece of furniture, or buying a mattress, or buying whatever, and then you just go get it, and then you bring it home, and then you have this item, and then you just go and you resell it, and you don't sell it by too much, maybe like $30 or $40. Then you've made a profit. And it's the craziest thing. You can actually do that pretty easily. It's almost like flipping houses. It's the same idea. So like for the real estate people out there, you go and you fix up a house, and then eventually when you start getting enough money so that you can have an investment portfolio in real estate, do that too. See, this is what it means to own your life. That's where's your next spirit right there.
I'm curious if somebody, and before we get too far, I just want to note that Jody in the comments, Mike asked what the name of that band was that you were talking about. Was it Switchfoot?
Switchfoot, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Jody's one of our friends.
Awesome.
That's she's out by where you are, isn't she, Welty?
Correct. She's a South Carolinian.
Yep.
Sweet. That's awesome.
That's from his channel too, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, I wanted to just ask, like, if you downloaded the app and you got all verified and you start driving, like, are there any things that that you're like, oh, I didn't learn that till 3 months in, that you would share with anybody? Like things that maybe they should be paying attention to, or
I'll share a couple of things. So one of the things about if you're going to do gig economy work is you want to do a concept called multi-apping. So Here's what that means. So it's like you sign up for multiple delivery apps, and if one gets hot, case in point, today, I'll give you an example. So today I was using actually four. I had Spark, which is the Walmart app, and I had Instacart on, I had DoorDash, I had Uber Eats, and I had Roadie. So today Roadie started getting red hot, and so I was way down south, and I had pay by time on, which in my area is like 15.75. Not all Dashers like the pay by time. I like it in my area because it's a little bit higher. I would only use it if it was like 15 or higher. So I did it and I turned it on, and I had a delivery going up to the north. But then I saw that there was a Roadie delivery also going in the pickup was in the same direction. So I'm like, oh, I'll bid on that, because the thing with Roadie is you bid on it and then they accept you for the app, for the gig. So I was like, okay, this is a good plan. So I'll just go up there, and it put me in position to around a series of restaurants up there that I knew would be up there. And I'm like, I'm likely to get another order while I'm up there. So I did the pay by time, got a Starbucks order, took it all the way up. Then I bid on the Roadie order, got accepted on that, made another $14. So made $15 on the way up, another $15 within about 20 minutes on the Roadie thing with these big bird seed things at the Tractor Supply store. And then as I finished up the Tractor Supply, I turned back on DoorDash and Uber Eats decided to wake up. So I get an order from them. So that today I have 3 apps giving me pay and keeping me busy. So I made a total of $60 in about 2.5 hours.
Hey,
nice. It works.
Not bad. That's awesome.
That's a creative way
cool.
to keep in mind when you're doing gig work. So.
Can I take my recommendation in a different direction?
Sure.
When you're working gig apps, if you're new to it, a huge part of the value to me has been the ability to, I guess you can call this multi-apping too, multitasking in terms of, I've got the YouTube app going at the same time, and no, you're not gonna hop in your first shift in the car and put your laptop in the car with you and do a live stream and entertain people, but content still matters on the consumption side, and I'm really serious about this, because one of the freedoms of just being in your car and doing your own thing is that the boss isn't going to say, hey, what they used to tell, my first job was McDonald's, and I would hear this line all the time. Hey, if you can lean, then you can clean. Meaning, we don't have any money to make right now, but we're not going to pay you to just stand there. So wipe off something, even if it's already been wiped off, and I always thought,
if you lean, you can clean. Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you can lean, you can clean. And I always thought, I always thought, that's a cute little rhyme or whatever. But I like the fact that I'm in my car and I'm not told, hey, if you can lean, you can clean. And so I have time for in the beginning, get on the YouTube app and at least form a community. You can there are people that are frequent viewers in the GigTube community, and you'll get noticed because not so many people are watching us. I mean, right now we're seeing every single comment. We're not missing a comment. So if you want to be heard, if you want to be heard, you're going to be heard. And so part of the main way that I was able to get my channel off the ground a little bit is what I see you doing, Mike, is becoming friends with the people that already have a bit of a following and getting on with them, just like we're doing right now.
That's cool.
There's never a moment, and my wife thinks I'm crazy for like constantly either creating content or consuming about it, but or consuming content. I mean, I'm either creating or consuming almost every moment of the day. But when I'm not talking on camera, I'm listening to somebody else, and you can learn a lot as you multi-app. You can learn about a lot. It doesn't even have to be about gig work. It can be about something else. You can go watch YouTube and you're almost getting this lecture or class on something as you work. And that was really valuable to me, considering I, to some extent, left university to do this. I left university, but I didn't leave the realm of learning.
Yeah, so I
amazing.
have to make a comment on one of the comments here. Nick Robinson, to go back earlier, we were talking about flipping stuff. And you remember the solar eclipse that happened? He says he bought 100 solar eclipse glasses, sold them all the day of the eclipse for $5 in 2.5 hours. So,
Nice.
see, okay, what I love about this is it's just an example of how creative you can be, with what's going on in this world. Like, I mean, when you see the opportunities that are there, it's just, that's entrepreneurship. Like, you are the CEO of your own life. And if you have the ability to do creative things, it's just going to take you in the direction you need to go. And whether that's recruiting or whatever, he says he made $450 and paid
Nice.
81 for them.
Well
So
done.
that
Nice
is pretty
job,
dang
Nick.
cool. Nice job, Nick. So we have like 9 minutes, and I want to open it up to questions. So we have a few folks that are hanging out on the chat, which is nice to see. It's nice to see all of you here. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll answer them. So go for it.
Nick, that's $180 an hour, man.
Yeah, it's pretty dang cool.
That's not bad.
So it's amazingly creative. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, if there is one. Hey, Giggity, good to see you, man. If you guys have any questions, please put one in there, and we'll answer them. But Welty, what is your favorite thing about all the stuff you're doing these days?
Favorite thing, it's got to be probably people enjoying my music. Jody, I delivered today. I delivered some mixtapes to the local people that I have that have purchased my my CD, and so seeing, handing Jody the CD today, and then seeing her in the live chat, listening to a few of the songs for the first time and saying, "Hey, I just listened to track 3. I loved it. Just listened to track 6. I almost cried." And I was like, "Man, that's like just a whole different level for me." There's no price I can put on that.
Oh, so this is really funny. So
That's very cool.
So Robert, for those who don't know, if you go onto Welty's channel, he's got a short, and it's the Aaron Boy mixtape. But he did this rap of the Aaron. What was that one called? That was one of my favorites. It was the one where you had when your glasses broke and you had it on. You had the one on the one lens that was out, and you were dancing to it.
Is that
awesome.
Is that Fake Job?
Fake Job, yes. Oh man, so funny. So
Yeah,
he made this rap about. He's made several raps about gig work, and so now he's selling them, and he has his YouTube followers are actually. So he's come up with this stuff, and it's pretty dang cool. Do you have your CD nearby? So
I got the hoodie on that
Aaron Boy.
He's got merch, man.
Yeah.
We need where's your next
I need an Aaron Boy hoodie. That is quite
I might have
awesome.
to get one too, man.
Welty.com, UUELTE.com.
So Robert, you and I are going to get merch too at some point as this channel grows.
Awesome. Cool.
So
very fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. I think is there any parting shots since nobody's taken us up on questions?
I love it. I love the stuff that you shared, and Ryan, like, way to go. Like, what's cool is that, like, you're saying, hey, I'm young, I'm figuring all this out now, but like there's no such thing as age, when it's just your mindset. So I know a lot of people that are trying to figure out, maybe they've had a full career, now they're trying to do some different things. And yeah, if you've got the CD, I guess Jody's like, hey,
yeah, show the CD, man.
I'll go grab it. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay. No, that's pretty neat, though.
So, Robert, this is why I wanted him on, because he's just cool. You see what you can do if you put your heart and mind to it as an entrepreneur. You can be smart. You can do all sorts of fun stuff, and it's just this is why this is so cool. That's why there it is. Aaron Boy mixtape.
Yeah, that's it. So, and I'm signing all of them purchased before Christmas Day 2023. I've got them. It opens up, and I'm putting a signature here on the W panel, Here's the track
There
list
you
right
go.
here, the 13 songs. So it's really fun. This is probably the coolest, like the signature part of my entrepreneurship
That's fun.
experience so far. This is the thing that I'm most satisfied with.
So, what's really funny
That's pretty
is
cool.
there's at SourceCon, there's a guy by the name of Hunter Casperson, and he reminds me of what Welty's done. He's actually a beatboxer, and so he was in front of like nearly 2,000 recruiters beatboxing right before he did his presentation. So I think we need to get him on, Robert. I'm going to reach out to Hunter and see if we can get him on because he's a sourcer. So that would be a fun conversation, and have him beatbox for us too. Like, can you do your rap, Welty,
Cool.
before we wrap up? Come on.
Funny, I'll say this real quick. I'm probably aging myself, but I remember buying enough CDs as a teenager. You open the shrink wrap, and I could smell it. I could smell what that smells like. That's
great.
awesome, man.
That's great.
Do you want to rap for us real quick, Welty?
You want the fake job?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hear it.
I say they're telling me to go get a real job, like it only counts clocking in with a key fob. I've got accounts running up and they can't stop. I've got amounts if they drop, you still can't top.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So fun. Very, very cool.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking time off the road.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming to the first, vlogcast of Where's Your Next. And Robert and I will be back at it next week with another guest. Do you have someone in mind, Robert?
Plastic. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We should definitely talk. One of the things I was thinking is it might be kind of cool that all the guests, if we had some kind of an angle where it was like they could tell us a story about their career was going like this and they made some kind of a change. That would be kind of wild. Get that story. So cool.
We got that
Thanks
with Ryan
for setting
today.
a hold for us, man.
We got that with Ryan early on. He talked about his HVAC situation. So
yeah,
well,
maybe that'll be the background story. That sounds good.
Yep. Well, it's good to see all of you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. We're out from our side. Until next time on Where's Your Next with Robert and I. Welty, thanks for coming.
Glad to be here.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Music, outro music.
Yeah, we need outro music. We'll have to figure that out.
It's there.
We'll get that down. This is episode 1, so we're learning as we go. Bye.
All right. See ya.